What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday and welcome to the Early Edge. If you came here for some NBA, some college hoops, some soccer, you came to the right place. Probably some laughs as well, but nothing to laugh about here with the recap screen. Let's take a look. We had buckets come through. Griffin Carroll, 1 for 2. He lost the plus money play. My play on Georgia Tech was just atrocious. I'm just going to be straight up about that. Mikey B loses 2, but he's going to bounce back today. He's on the show today. And we got prop stars in the chat. And if memory serves, just a few seconds ago, he might have said he went 4-0. That was probably his SportsLine article or his picks on SportsLine. Got to be a member of SportsLine to get all of these picks. But as far as the early edge picks, let's bring in the stars of the show. Let's bring in all the people that will have a bring back or a comeback Wednesday. We've got the props. We've got the soccer guy. We've got Mikey B, Mike McClure. I know Mike McClure and I are excited to get things going in golf. Check out the early wedge. It's already in your feed. That was me and EC yesterday. Patrick couldn't make it. He'll be there next week. But speaking of being there, Tim Doyle. Last week, you were calling the Sam Houston State game. I can't remember who they were playing.
Western.
There we go. Western Kentucky. And you couldn't be on the show, but you know what you did? You jumped into the chat. You jumped into the early edge at the beginning of the show, and you gave out a Northwestern pick that came through. So I got to give you the floor right off the bat. That was a really cool move. I wasn't expecting it. First of all, how are you? How was calling the Sam Houston game? And thank you for that Northwestern pick.
No doubt about it. Northwestern tonight's a tricky one. Like when I say tricky one, means I don't like them, okay? But I'm just trying to be politically correct. They're 5.5 over Nebraska. It makes me very nervous, okay? Because they've played a lot of teams close, and now they have to win this game. I'm not going to take against Northwestern, but I think you catch my drift there. Yeah, it was a wonderful time. I was out in Nashville. McClure, if you go out on Broadway, because I know you live in the area, you have 2 tabs. One of the honky-tonk place and another place at a steakhouse, Jeff Ruby. So, sorry, I don't know what else to say. I just signed your name. I said we're both Irish. So, yeah, it was great coming on. My driver / Uber off the app guy was like, what are you doing? I go, I'm working right now, pal. Relax, okay? By the way, it's a great system. If you meet somebody off the app, it's kind of like you're not really sure if you're going to end up on Dateline or if something's going to happen, but you save a couple extra bucks. So that ends up being my driver.
You never know these days, says Tim Doyle. Martin Green, Tim, you probably enjoy this. Martin Green, is this a new jersey that you purchased?
Hey!
I'm going to mix it up a bit. Yeah, I'm going with the Lazio jersey today. So I'm hoping for some Italian luck.
All right, absolutely love that. And Mikey B, we're going to get to in a second because we're going to jump right into NBA official picks. But Mike McClure, I got to ask you, I haven't released my SportsLine article yet because I was actually waiting to see if some more matchups came out. Just so everybody knows, that SportsLine article, my SportsLine article, will be out probably before 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time today. But Mike, I want to ask you, I know you're excited about the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Will you have your projections, your model up on the SportsLine site as well?
Yes, yeah, the simulations are up on the SportsLine site now. I'll try to drop the link in the chat for those that want to see those, but should be all over the homepage right now as well. As far as the actual betting card for me, that will go up later today, probably around noon. We'll have the picks up there, potentially an outright this week, mostly head-to-heads. I see a question in the chat. I wasn't betting a lot of outrights and betting a lot of golf volume anyway when we play these first few events that feature multiple courses. I personally kind of avoid those events. So this is really about the start of the calendar year in golf for me.
Absolutely love that. All right, let's get into, by the way, Danny Brasco and Prop Stars are in the chat along with all of you. I see you, Adam Fry. I see you, Mary Jack. Is that what it is? Scott. Rick Funcannon is in here. Absolutely love that. Bradley Jacobs, if I didn't already say that, was probably with some soccer picks coming in the chat. All right, let's get to our official picks. Let's get right to it. We got a lot of people on the show. I don't want to waste any time. Mikey B, listen, you and I didn't have the best days on Early Edge yesterday, so it's comeback ball for you. You got 2 props. You're coming right back to it. This first one, I kind of love here. So let's just talk about both props you have tonight on the NBA slate.
Yeah, shoot or shoot. So I got 2 more player props for today. First, we're going to do Jonathan Kuminga over 19.5 points. Quite a bit of juice at minus 142, but I still like it. He's been one of the Warriors' most reliable scorers. He's got at least 20 points in 9 of their last 10 games. He just faced the 76ers about a week ago. He had 26 points in that game. Over the last 5 games without Joel Embiid, the 76ers have given up just under 124 points per game. So I think Kuminga stay hot and gets us at least 20 points. Then we're going to do RJ Barrett over 20.5 points at minus 110. I haven't been able to upload this to the site yet because it's a different line at different books, but this one's right from BetMGM. He sat out Sunday's game against the Pelicans for rest. He played 43 minutes the game prior. He had 23 points. He's over his last 11 games, Barrett scored at least 21 points 8 times. Going to face the Hornets, worst defensive rating in the league. Plenty of minutes, plenty of shot attempts coming his way. So we're going to do RJ Barrett over 20.5 points.
Absolutely love it. And by the way, we've got Mike McClure in the chat putting his golf leaderboard out there. So click on that link. We've got so many people, and Martin Green's even in the chat. You guys are doing double work here. I absolutely love it. Eric David says the Sixers, this is interesting, nice transition, professional transition from our very own Eric David in the chat. He says Sixers are hot garbage since Embiid went down. Well, Tim, you must know, I like you a lot. I'm trying to get in your best friend circle. I think you're hilarious. You're good at picks. You're good at announcing Western Kentucky and Sam Houston State games specifically. So what I did today is I anticipated what your pick was going to be, and I put it out on SportsLine. And boom, it turns out my pick and your pick are the same. So instead of me giving out the pick, you do my work for me. Who do you like tonight?
Just get back to that Western Kentucky Sam Houston State game. Western Kentucky was 4.5. I do not bet the games that I'm on, okay? But I always look at the line. I always make a mental bet. And I would have laid 4.5 at Western Kentucky. And they were up 6 and up 8, but they should have been up 15. And I said on the broadcast, I said, they missed their opportunity. If Sam Houston State gets the lead, they're going to win this game. Well, that's exactly what happened. How do I know that? Because I gamble. And my mental bet, like, when you're watching a game, you're like, they should be up 12 or 14. So if you're watching that and you jumped in, hats off to you. The Warriors are playing a team that lost to the Nets. That's all you have to know. The Nets are horrible. Something's really wrong there. Jock Vaughn's making $3 to $4 million a year, and they beat the 76ers. That's how bad a place the 76ers are in. The last time the 76ers won, what did it take? Tyrese Maxey scored 51 points. All right. So that's what it's going to take for the 76ers to win a game. I like my odds then. I know what the Warriors are always laying, 2 points extra because people think it's the Warriors of old. And they did not look great against Brooklyn, but they did enough. And the fact that they have a little bit of rest and it's a short travel for them, I actually would probably lay 5 in this game. I'm going to take them on the money line just because when it's 2.5 or 3, Sia, and I lose, it makes me so angry to take the money line. So this is more about betting against the Sixers. They're in a really bad place right now. So Warriors money line, hammer time.
Yeah, and I don't know if obviously I like this bet too. I put it in on SportsLine about an hour ago when you could have gotten the money line at -135. I'm gonna have to check the plethora of books here because somebody just mentioned that the line in some places has gone up to 4.5, and it was. Oh, go ahead, Mike McClure.
Yeah, it looks like Maxey is highly questionable to play in
There
this
we go.
game now. So he's on the injury report with an illness. This is noteworthy just because in the last game and the game before that, really dating back to Saturday, Paul Reed on the team was dealing with an illness, didn't play a full complement of minutes. Tobias Harris was also sick. He did end up playing sick, but there is an illness in that Philly locker room.
And add to that the Embiid injury, of course, but they have other injuries too, other people that are out, notwithstanding the sickness that might be going around now. So this may be the time to grab that, whether you want to lay the 4. At this point, Mike McClure, let me ask you this, because I don't really need to get into my play, everybody, just so you know. I got the Warriors money line as well. I put it out on SportsLine, -135. It may be an issue now because at least in terms of taking the money line. But Mike McClure, let me ask you this, and I'm going to go back to Tim on this too, just real quick. If it's 4.5 right now, and it's -105, I noticed at 4.5. Maybe it goes back down to 4. Maybe it goes up to 5. I'm not sure. How many points would you be willing to lay if you already liked the Warriors, let's say money line, or you even liked them at -2.5?
I think the answer here is pretty clearly get it in now or wait and hope that Maxey plays. I would not go up over 5. I'm personally not on the game, so not something I've modeled or looked at or anything there. So I'm not saying I would play it there, but if you did like it, I would definitely get it in before this thing gets to 5 where you need 6 points to cover.
Tim, any modification on that answer?
I just like that Mike just said he didn't model this game. I'll model this game on the money line, okay? I'm going to strut this game. I'm not going to lay the points because, as I said, it makes me angry when I could just buy it at the money line and just win the game. Because NBA players, like all professional athletes, they don't care if they cover. And if my pick ends up winning and I don't win the game, it pisses me off. So I'll buy it on the money line. And if you don't want to lay the price, throw it in a parlay with something else that you like for the night. So I'm a parlay guy, so don't hate me, but that's how I would bet it.
Yeah, I hear that 100%. I mean, by the way, like the one thing against the Warriors, I would say, I think they're playing pretty good ball. I think their record's not really indicative of how they're playing, especially with the emergence of Jonathan Kuminga, but they've won 3 out of 4 games. They're on like an extended East Coast trip. I think that would be the one knock against this, but they've been playing really good ball. They're kind of a desperate team, desperate to get back to 500. I think still 3 games below 500 at this point, but I like the Warriors. Honestly, even if this gets to 5, I think the Warriors might be the play here. Mike McClure, go ahead.
Yeah, one more thing. Just keep in mind, we are approaching the trade deadline tomorrow. The Warriors are one of the teams that are most likely to make moves at the deadline. Not going to have a massive impact on this game, but I do think Chris Paul, Klay Thompson, 2 guys that could potentially be moved.
Very, very interesting. All right. Well, if you want to make this Warriors money line play, or if you want to bet them against the spread, you know what to do. You go to BetMGM, and new BetMGM customers can sign up today and get $158 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $5, and you will receive $158 instantly in bonus bets, regardless of your wager's outcome, with bonus code EDGE158. That's EDGE158. All right. Well, we got to get to some college basketball. We got to get Martin Green and his Lazio jersey up and talking about some soccer bets. But before we do that, one quick break from our partners.
Caught by Kelsey for the touchdown. The 49ers are going back to the Super Bowl. The champs are still in it, headed to Vegas.
If there were ever a sign to put your notifications on SportsLine, I mean, like, listen, like this was literally this pick that we just keep talking about. Warriors money line was -135. It was -140 in some places too. Now it looks like people in the chat are talking about it's -160, -180 money line. So again, this is a really good. Okay, so Chris Thomas says this man gave us Warriors -135 is so lame. He says when the actual line is -180. Tim is a fraud and C is a fraud. He says, Chris, that's what SportsLine is for. Thank you for that promo. Can we get the SportsLine promo up? It's such a ridiculous comment because we put these in on SportsLine. Get 60% off an annual plan with promo code WINNERS. Again, go to sportsline.com/join, type in WINNERS, and you'll get 60% off the annual plan. We can't control that the line changes within a 30-minute span, Chris Thomas. What we can control is when we put on the pick, and you can control when you put notifications on. If you put notifications on, you would have gotten this at -135. We talk about it pretty much every single show, joining SportsLine, turning notifications on. This is why we do it. So thank you for promoting sportsline.com/join. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get to Martin Green. Martin Green, we've kept you quiet. That's on me. My apologies. You got 2 soccer picks. Tell us when they're going and tell us your picks.
That's quite all right, Sia. I was just betting on Usher's first song to be "Oh My God" at the Super Bowl halftime.
Obviously.
Great pick on the chat there from Danny Brasco, our man. Has an inside line with Usher apparently, so that's great. Moving swiftly along to soccer, I like a little parlay today. Scotland, Netherlands parlay. Celtic are level on points with Rangers at the top of the Scottish Premiership table. They really can't afford to slip up against Hibernian today. The Hoops picked up a 4-1 win against Hibs in December. They should be able to repeat the feat. I'm going to parlay Celtic with the Dutch champions Feyenoord, who are up against AZ Alkmaar in the Dutch Cup today. Feyenoord are playing great right now, but they're 10 points behind league leaders PSV in the Eredivisie. So I think the Dutch Cup appears to be their best chance of securing silverware this season. They've won their last 4 games against AZ, including a 1-0 victory last month. I think they should prevail. So I'm just putting the 2 teams together, moneyline parlay at odds of -110. While I'm on the show, looking ahead to the weekend, I really like both teams to score an over 2.5 goals in the game between Aston Villa and Manchester United at Villa Park. Villa have scored in all 11 home games so far this season. They really should maintain that record against the leaky Man United defence on Saturday. Man United look strong in attack right now too, though. They've scored 19 goals in their last 6 matches. It finished 3-2 to Manchester United when these teams met in December. I think we should see another high-scoring clash, so that bet looks great to me.
All right. Love the 2 soccer plays. We got Tim's rubbing his hands together. Does that mean you're betting these soccer plays too?
I like when Martin's giving out totals on the pitch. All right, that's when I get involved because I know that he likes to model. I know he's got models somewhere over there in his house. I don't know where in his dungeon. So I trust his total picks.
I keep a lot of models in the dungeon.
Totals on the pitch. Very fancy, Tim Doyle. By the way, speaking of fancy, not only do we have prop stars in the chat, not only do we have Danny Brasco in the chat, and all of you, of course, who I'm sure have already hit the like button, but the maestro is in the chat live from Vegas. I think he's still in Vegas. Ask away. If we can't get to your question, I guarantee you they can get to your question. All right, we got to get to some college basketball questions. Mike McClure, Tim Doyle, you all have some college basketball to talk about, a couple of bets. But before we get there, one more quick message from our partners.
The madness doesn't just happen.
Y'all get ready!
And although it's marked on our calendars each year, it's built by moments of mayhem before.
And the crowd goes crazy!
And it begins to bubble long before it bursts. Sure, madness and March may go hand in hand, but it starts right here.
Kevin McKenzie in the chat, Tim, has a suggestion for you. He says, get those shades back on. It's a vibe. It's true. I mean, Tim Doyle is a vibe in and of himself, but the shades kind of a vibe. I don't know if you want to give this pick out with the shades on. It's up to you, but you've got a plus money play. You're not afraid to give out a dog at a money line price, which I absolutely love. Tim, who do you like tonight?
Yeah, I like Murray State. Now you're going to go, Tim, what do you know about Murray State? I know a lot. I know a hell of a lot, and here's why. I called their game this past weekend against Northern Iowa. Yes, I took my two children to Waterloo, Iowa. I don't know what I was thinking. 4.5 hours in a minivan, although we did have Yale money line over Princeton, which we watched on the way there. It's a whole nother story, okay? Murray State, the previous two games, this is why I like them tonight against Belmont. Before they played Northern Iowa, they were up 20 in the second half, lost. They were up 14 in the second half, lost. So once again, I was calling the game, so mentally I'm handicapping the game. They're going to get blown out by Northern Iowa. Guys, they were up 30. And I talked to Steve Prohm before the game. He had showed his whole team a picture of them during the first game in layup lines where the last guy goes up and dunks and the team gets, and everyone was looking around and there was a joy on their face that he was trying to capture for this game against Northern Iowa. Did it work? Yes, it did. They were up 30 points on the road in a place where Ben Jacobson does not lose. Now they go to a rival and they got to be feeling amazing about themselves. Dogs in this. Sia, they should be 3.5 in my eye. You're getting, where's my vibe? Get my vibe back. I love Murray. If I could adopt Murray State, I have 3 kids. I would adopt Murray State. I'd put them in the basement because I have no more room upstairs with all the kids. But I am hammering Murray State in this game.
Oh, man, it really is a vibe. I absolutely love that. I got to take that one, too. I don't always place everybody else's bets, but I love the Murray State analysis. Absolutely love it. By the way, embarrassment of riches. Amags is in the chat. We got MLB really truly around the corner, but Amags does other stuff too, right? Like people are asking about NFL picks. Absolutely love that. We honestly, it's a whole show that we have in the chat and a whole show we have here. Mike McClure, you're on this show. You've got to play in the Big East. I think the Big East is so perplexing this year. A lot of these, we don't see as much of the athleticism in the Big East that we might see in, let's say, the Big 12. See a lot of just kind of mechanical offense, solid defense. But Creighton, I don't know how much defense they're playing, but they've certainly got some firepower. They've won 3 or 4. What do you like in this Creighton-Providence game?
I like Creighton here, Sia. I played them -2 this morning. It's mostly at -2.5 in the market. There's still 1-2 left. There's a 3 out there as well. Do not lay the -3. Do not go up over a full possession required to cover here. I make the number 4.7, so essentially 5-point road favorite. You mentioned the Big East being difficult to figure out. The Big East and the Big 12 are pretty similar in that it is quite difficult to go win a game on the road. However, I think this is a pretty distinct matchup advantage for Creighton against Providence. Providence is a team that really, they're missing Hopkins, their best player. And he's been out for an extended period of time, didn't play in the first meeting, tore his ACL, but his lack in this matchup is a big, big deal. So when I look at Creighton here, they are an excellent shooting team in general, but particularly at the free throw line. To win on the road in college basketball, you have to be able to shoot free throws. That's what I like the most about Creighton. They're also incredibly disciplined. They don't put their opponent on the line often at all. In fact, they're ranked number 1 in defensive free throw rate. Very well-coached team. I think they're being docked a little bit for the road game against UConn where they scored just 48 points. Other than that, they've been honestly pretty phenomenal, and it's because of the offensive end of the floor, but they're not bad defensively. Still a top 45 unit. when we look at both offensive and defensive units in this game, Providence on the offensive end of the floor is by far the worst unit on the floor in this game, rating well outside the top 100. That's what I see being the issue here. We've seen Creighton routinely be able to score 80, 90 points. I think it's going to be very difficult, despite being a home game for Providence, for them to keep up here. So I'm laying the 2 points. I expect a multiple possession win here for Creighton.
I absolutely like it. And by the way, it was Taylor DeHart that said, when Mike McClure gives out a side, you listen and you obey, because of obviously Mike usually giving out totals and not giving out sides. So absolutely love that. And go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. I very rarely play sides. I play sides more when we get later in the year as the market on totals kind of starts to tighten up a bit. The thing that I will note on this, we know how important home court advantage is in college basketball. It's extremely important, right? But looking at how much the market has moved, they played this matchup once already this season. Again, Hopkins. The spread was 11 for Creighton at home. It's a pretty massive swing to go from 11 to 2. I know it's destinations, but I think the number should be 5.
Okay, number should be 5. Dan Clark, by the way, he has put in a NBA prop parlay in there if you all want to check that out. And let me ask you, Tim, before we get out of here, before we take a look at the recap screen, I don't know that you have a take on Murray State first half, but you did watch them play. Maybe you consider them a first half team. But John Parker asks, Murray State first half plus 114?
I'm not a first half bettor. I'm more of a side guy. But the side note, Mrs. Doyle went to Creighton. And during the pandemic, she bought me an old Kyle Korver jersey to spice it up a little bit, And Mike, look at Mike's nodding his head. He knows the Kyle Korver story.
We all know the Kyle Korver story.
And she would set up chairs around the house, and I would have to run in between like Korver used to do on the screens. I didn't know this was going to be a therapy session, but yeah, just a side note story.
If y'all don't know the Kyle Korver story, you don't watch the Early Edge enough, and you certainly don't watch Early Edge on Wednesdays enough. Absolutely love it. All right, let's transition to the recap screen. Let's take a look at all these picks. I got the
winners
with Tim Doyle. We share that pick, and Tim's also got Murray State money line at plus money. Martin Green, Celtic money line plus Feyenoord. Did I mess that up? Money line minus 110. And Aston Villa, Manchester United, BTTS, and over 2.5 minus 125. Mike Barner, Jonathan Kuminga over 19.5 points at minus 142. RJ Barrett over 20.5 points minus 110. Mike McClure's got Creighton on the road at Providence minus 2. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a good show. I mean, listen, we just went 22 minutes. It felt like 5 minutes. We got a lot of picks in there for you. Thanks for saying thank you in the chat. Honestly, I got to thank you all. Kevin McKenzie, I really appreciate that. Thank you all for being in the chat. Thank you for being active. Thanks for giving out some picks. Thanks for hitting the like button. We do this every day at 10, but we can't do it without you. So really appreciate all the positive vibes, all the picks, all the interaction, all the like button hits, subscribing to SportsLine. All of that is so appreciated, and we certainly recognize it. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Tim Doyle and his shades, on behalf of Mike McClure, on behalf of Martin Green, on behalf of Mikey B, otherwise known as Mike Barner, and on behalf of Prop Stars, Amax, Danny Brasco, and Maestro in the chat, the whole team is here, folks, including Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s. As for me, well, I'm the counselor. This is the Early Edge, and we rest our case.